Plastic surgery. Love it or hate it, it's basically a major part of the fabric of modern society. And for better or for worse, it is most certainly here to stay. But for something so mainstream, especially within the celebrity sphere, it's still a topic that is considered taboo by many. Something that's done on the down low, hush hush, never to be discussed.
No breast implants, no surgery.
You know, I got my breasts done before Stormy.
It goes without saying that our bodies and our faces are our own, and we should, as adults at least, be free to do whatever we like with them. The problem with outright denial, though, is that, well, you're lying. It's only natural for people to even get angry, maybe feel betrayed, disappointed once the lie has been uncovered. I mean, it's part of human nature to dislike deception and lies, even though our species tends to employ these tactics almost on a full-time basis. But I digress. We still don't like it. So while I understand that it must be awkward to be asked by strangers, being reporters or even fans online, about the work you've possibly had done because you're looking a little different, we just can't put our finger on it. In my books, at least, that really doesn't excuse lying. The thing is, people don't like being treated as though they're stupid. We don't like being taken for fools. But what these celebrities also don't understand is that when they lie and pretend that puberty was responsible for the fact that they grew a set of incredibly huge pouty lips virtually overnight, they're not just taking us for fools. They're actually making a fool out of themselves. And this isn't restricted to plastic surgery, by the way. Take Oprah, for instance, with the whole Ozempic debacle or GLP-1, whatever she's using. She notoriously denied being on some type of GLP-1 for a long time, despite drastic and rapid weight loss in her 70s, something which she wasn't able to accomplish in her youth, only to then come clean about the fact that she is indeed on a GLP-1, surprise, surprise, and is now openly promoting it like it's candy, rather than an actual medication with potentially serious and in some cases fatal side effects. But what do I know? What matters is she ended up looking like a fool because we all knew it from the beginning. So she might as well have saved herself and her reputation by just being honest. Speaking of honesty, so we've been doing this in levels. First, we talked about plastic surgery and, you know, how it's taboo in general and people don't like talking about it. Okay, we understand, maintain your privacy. Then we added the extra layer of just don't lie about it. You know, just be decent. Don't respond, just say no comment. I'll accept that personally. I'm sure a lot of you in the comments can understand. People just want to, again, maintain their privacy. Now we have an extra layer of hypocrisy. I'm talking about the celebrities who clearly have had some work done. And I don't necessarily mean invasive surgery going under the knife. We're talking just, you know, popping in and out, some Botox, some filler. But they literally lecture young women in particular on the importance of loving yourself and accepting yourself exactly as you are, effectively making it their brand. This is the moral gray area that I find particularly interesting and worthy of further exploration.
You are enough exactly as you are.
To illustrate this point further, I will be using two celebrities, two females who exist on opposite ends of my like spectrum. On the one hand, we have Meghan Markle, whom I did actually like until the Oprah interview 5 years ago. And on the other, we have the iconic, legendary pop star sensation, at least in my books, Marina. Now, this topic actually came about because I was just doing some internet surfing and came across a few photos of Meghan Markle from the Sundance Festival, where her Cookie Girl Scout movie thing documentary was premiering. And some people were noting that you could see evidence of a weave in her ponytail. As usual on the internet, there was a lot of judgment and unnecessarily mean commentary going on because, as I mentioned earlier, it's just really none of our business if people choose to alter their appearance, which includes, I suppose, wearing a wig or putting in a weave, as long as you don't lie about it. But then I remembered that, as is frequently the case with Meghan Markle, she has done or said things that almost justifies the criticism because she has put herself out there, not so much now, but definitely before meeting Prince Harry, as this all-natural, love yourself, you're perfect the way you were born kind of woman.
You are enough exactly as you are.
She was part of the whole Dove Love Yourself campaign back in 2015. She did the rounds and interviews, constantly espousing the importance of that. Her now defunct blog, The Tig, constantly mentioned the importance of loving yourself and embracing your naturalness. And even today, she's constantly going on about authenticity, being your most authentic self, etc., etc., etc. Meanwhile, while I don't have definitive proof of a nose job, for instance, if you put us side by side, then one can easily see that her nose has gone through an evolution. When it comes to her breast implants, which she's since had removed, I don't need to even say allegedly. The evidence is right there. But perhaps most damning when it comes to Meghan Markle is how she pretends that she doesn't have any ethnic features anymore. She's successfully erased them. In an interview back in 2013, when she was 32 years old and presumably understood how basic biology worked, she famously claimed that
it doesn't remember what it once was, but yes, once upon a time it was curly, yeah.
Really?
And as the years progressed, her hair has only gotten straighter and straighter. Now, whether it's her real hair or a wig or a weave is besides the point. What I've seen people having an issue with when it comes to Meghan and why the weave was pointed out, or a potential weave, evidence of a weave in Sundance was pointed out, was because it was seen as hypocritical. People saw a woman who was constantly trying to erase any trace of her Black heritage, who then also constantly lectures, or at least lectured in the past, young women about embracing their authentic, natural self. And while she was saying these things, even back in 2015, she said them with, chemically straightened or heat straightened hair and the nose job, allegedly, if she had one, already in evidence. And so it kind of got me thinking, while my initial reaction was, whatever, who cares if she's wearing a weave? Why are we mocking her for that? You then start to see the bigger picture and understand that we just don't like hypocrisy, just like lying. We don't like double standards. I'm not saying she has to fess up to what she's done, because I still believe that is none of our business as long as they don't make it our business. But when you put yourself out there in public and make it part of your brand to continuously lecture and espouse the importance of being natural and embracing yourself exactly as you are, then you're asking for it. You're inviting the criticism and you're inviting people to point out your hypocrisy. Now, this happened very recently. Sundance was a couple of days ago, but it reminded me of 6 to 7 months ago when Marina was doing the rounds promoting her latest album, Princess of Power, and had a few things to say about women and aging, particularly as a pop star.
This is the thing that I really want to transmit with this record, because I have lots of Gen Z women who are fans, and they're so scrutinized. The trick of the patriarchy is to make you think that your value disappears after you're not deemed attractive, but actually you look at these older women, you're like, oh, that's when they actually step into their power.
Just for some context, Marina is someone who has spent the better part of her 16-year career singing about not giving into the patriarchy, mocking the notion of not aging a day beyond 30, and existing as a doll, as a prop to satisfy the whims and needs of the so-called patriarchy. I use that word because Marina used it. I know it's gonna invite some vitriol in the comments. I am just quoting her. I've already tried talking about how the patriarchy has embedded in women a sense of fear in terms of you're no longer sexy beyond a certain age, you're no longer valuable beyond a certain age, which is what, of course, Marina is talking about, as you have just heard. I mentioned this in a Hedy Lamarr video I had done almost 3 years ago now. And while I made it very clear that it's all well and good, I accept that menopause happens and youth is connected to fertility and beauty, etc., that's not the point of what women like myself and perhaps even Marina are trying to make. We're saying we accept that biological reality, but we are so much more than that. So on the face of it, you see Marina, who looks great, takes care of herself, making that comment, and you think, great, She, as someone who turned 40, wants to set an example and tell young women, and I count myself amongst the young women who grew up listening to her and looking up to her. She actually has inspired my own music quite a bit. She wants to tell us that there is still life beyond 25, that you don't just stop, no matter what the patriarchy tells you, or society, as I like to say, tells you. Your worth doesn't diminish. You get wiser, your talents mature and develop further, and there is so much more to life and you have so much more to offer. It's a great message. One that you would think wouldn't attract criticism. But of course, it's the internet, and it did. I have one specific comment that I took a screenshot of because Marina responded to it directly. I'm tired of hearing celebrities that conform to the patriarchal beauty standards talking as if they don't. It's disingenuous and tiresome. You don't get to play both sides. So basically, this person is pointing out that at the age of 40, Marina, to look the way she does, is clearly putting in a lot of effort to quote unquote conform. Now, Marina responded and said, "We're allowed to discuss the challenges of being in this industry and aging, regardless of whether we choose to do cosmetic procedures or not." A good example, Demi Moore talking about her experiences after filming The Substance. Just because someone is a victim of or participates in beauty standards doesn't mean they don't have the right to share their thoughts on it. I think talking about it and sharing our views with other women only strengthens us. It made me think about the concept of honest hypocrisy, and I've just coined this term. I'm not necessarily calling Marina a hypocrite. I am biased. I am a Marina fan. I am a diamond. So, full disclosure about that. But objectively speaking, I can see how she is getting called out for being a hypocrite. It reminds me of Jamila Jamil. She is constantly talking about not counting calories and body positivity and, just living your life and eating what you want and being like a man and not, worrying constantly about how you look. And yet you look at her, and I believe she's also in her 40s. She is also someone who is clearly doing a lot of work to maintain the physique that she has. And I mentioned the term honest hypocrisy. The reason I put in the word honest when it comes to Marina, rather than just hypocrisy like I did with Meghan Markle, is because Marina has been quite honest and open about what little work she's done. She's also been open about the fact that she's had Botox done. Now, what makes this interesting, of course, is the fact that she specifically mentions wrinkles.
And it's just such a shame that that's kind of like covered with this superficial thing, this idea that we think wrinkles equals not beautiful.
So I suppose the question is, should we be gatekeeping, openly talking about the pressure that women face in society to not age or to erase any evidence of aging? On the one hand, I completely understand the hypocrisy comment. As I mentioned, we like to see people walking the walk, not just talking the talk and doing the exact opposite of what they are espousing or preaching. But with people like Marina who are open about it, for example, Sharon Osbourne, she was very open and honest about being on Ozempic. Does that mean she's not allowed to talk about weight loss and the struggles of weight loss and the pressure that she has constantly felt her entire life to lose weight? Personally, I don't think we should be gatekeeping anything. Who are we to tell people such as Marina what she can and cannot talk about? But in the same vein, I suppose we can't expect people not to point out any hypocrisies that they may be seeing. Whether the honesty negates that hypocrisy or at least mitigates it is up to you to let me know in the comments section. Hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you something to think about. I know it certainly has got my wheels turning about the topic because it's something I don't normally like to dwell on. But as I said, moral gray area. Lots of room to think and opine. Comment section is available for you to do that. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.